Now, I want to say this before we go on. A lot of people say to me that, that because I'm a returning citizen and I'm doing this work, that a lot of people should aspire to be like myself. But the three people in this room that are returning citizens that I aspire to be like is first Mr. Walker. Like Mr. Walker, he came to, I met Mr. Walker at the Fatherhood Initiative program. He was doing some work with another organization. And so we became friends, based on our backgrounds, because I was there trying to form relationships. Because like I said, breaking the cycle was just built on relationship building. Without relationships, you don't have anything. So I met a guy that's going to be here a little later, Mr. Gary Bainey. And when I met Mr. Bainey, I said, James, come on, we got to go to this social media class. Because social media, it was brought to my attention as something that's missing in the community that we deal with. A lot of people in our community have no idea about computers. They know nothing about computers. They know nothing about, internet conduct. For example, they don't understand how Facebook helps them lose jobs. Cleveland Clinic at this point does random Facebook checks like, people do random urine tests. People have been fired for Facebook contact and not hired for Facebook contact. So, companies look at your LinkedIn and they look at your Facebook. Well, Mr. Walker spoke about his offense and the time he did in prison. So, when we went out there with an open mind. Mr. Walker immediately, one of the models of breaking the cycle is there's two types of animals. You either a jungle animal or you a zoo animal. Jungle animals get their food and zoo animals wait to get fed. So immediately, I was working at GM at the time. Mr. Walker got right on it, started getting on their job search. And then, of course, he got turned down for many jobs. But Mr. Bainey seen something in Mr. Walker and said, you know what, I'm going to teach you how to sell computer software. So Mr. Walker worked for Mr. Bainey for 6 months, learned the ropes. And when Mr. Bainey downsized, he hooked him up with a dude, Damian Petrini, right? Yeah. But Damian Petrini, he worked for him for 2 years. Now, while he was working with him for 2 years, going to school for his master's, he was teaching the social media course for breaking the cycle at Whitehaven. He was also over a transitional job for Byron Swift at the stadium, where he was actually supervising some crews. You see what I mean? See, all of these things made Mr. Walker a stronger person, and he also started his own videography business on the internet. So, I tell you, if I looked at somebody I wanted to be like, it would be him. Same thing with my man Ken. Ken went through a situation, he did some time in prison. He ended up writing a program, being in a situation where he didn't know where he was going to be staying at. And out of that, he came and he went through the breaking the cycle process. The week after me and James went out there to see Mr. Bainey, Ken went out there to see Mr. Bainey. So Ken's out there, he get his things together with Mr. Bainey. And, he got discouraged a little bit, but Mr. Bainey gave him a call, gave him some encouraging words. Next thing you know, he got his consulting company started. He working it towards employment. He did some consulting for ODJFS, correct? You know what I mean? See, but when you have opportunities and you have people encouraging you and you have relationships, this is how you could turn out to be as a person that's a returning citizen.